So mortgage rates have been all over the place this month. And if you've been watching the news, you've probably noticed that there is a lot happening right now that's impacting the market. So let's talk about what actually matters and what this means. So April has been a volatile month for mortgage rates. We've seen rates move from the low 6% range back up closer to the mid sixes, sometimes even above that, depending on the day and the borrower. Mortgage demand has also dropped as a result of this. Refinance activity is down. Purchase applications have slowed. And overall, the spring market has lost some of the momentum compared to earlier this year. So let's talk about the headlines that are actually driving a lot of this, because this is where most people get confused. First, Middle East conflict and oil prices. The ongoing tension between us and Iran is one of the biggest driving factors right now. We've seen oil prices jump and volatility increase, which directly impacts inflation and mortgage rates. Even small shifts like talks of a ceasefire have caused rates to drop temporarily, but then for them to just rise again when the uncertainty comes back. The second thing is that inflation isn't cooling fast enough. Inflation is still higher than what the market wants, and that's why we're not seeing more aggressive rate cuts and why mortgage rates are staying elevated. And then the third thing is that the Fed now has said that they may not cut rates in 2026, and this is actually a really big deal. So some major banks are now predicting that the Federal Reserve may not cut rates at all this year, which is a big shift from what many people expected a few months ago going into 2026, which was that there were going to be multiple rate cuts throughout the year. So it's keeping long-term rates higher. And then last and certainly not least, the housing market pressure is still building. Builders are still starting to feel the pressure with higher material costs, lower buyer demand, and then just overall uncertainty with what's going on overseas. So this is why, which is leading to more incentives like rate buy downs to keep deals moving. But ultimately, the headlines aren't just noise right now. They're actually directing mortgage interest rates day to day. And so these are the core drivers behind what we're seeing in the mortgage world. Inflation, it's still the biggest factor. Higher inflation means higher rates. Treasury yields, mortgage rates follow the 10-year treasury, and those yields have been elevated due to global uncertainty and inflation fears. Global uncertainty, markets don't like uncertainty, and right now there's a lot of it geopolitically and economically. So what does this mean in real life? It really means that it's not really a wait for the perfect rate type of market. It's a strategy market. So we're seeing a lot of wins with buyers right now negotiating seller concessions, interest rate buy downs, getting fully pre-approved. There's always opportunity, and right now it's with less competition. So the people who are actively shopping right now are very serious because of the volatility that we're seeing in the market. They're willing to take some of that volatility to enter the housing market to take advantage of some of these things that people are building. Locally here in Hampton Roads, we're still seeing stability in home values, and a lot of this is driven because we are so heavily supported by our military. We've got a lot of shipbuilding here, and then the port and logistics growth. So while nationally things are very uncertain, locally we still have a very strong foundation, thankfully. So what should we expect moving forward? Well, even if global tensions improve, mortgage rates are not going to drop overnight. Why? Because inflation and the effects of higher energy prices still take time to work through the system. So this is what I expect, my personal opinion. We're going to still see some continued volatility. We're going to see some short-term rate improvement here and there, and then a market that really rewards preparation over timing. So if you are thinking about buying, you're thinking about refinancing, you're thinking about selling, just the real estate market in general, and you want a strategy, I'm here to help. Make sure to subscribe to these monthly updates, and I'll see you next month.